Folks. How we doing? Happy, what day is it? Thursday, or if you're watching this as a VOD, I don't know what day it is. It's one of the 7 days. Unless where you're from, there's more than 7 days, which is pretty neat. Pretty neat. It does not feel like Thursday for me. I'm kind of all backwards after having Monday off from work. Even though we did a stream on this channel for Ethan's birthday. I don't know, it's like then Tuesday felt like double Monday at work. So in the movies we have 8 days, right? In the theater there is no time of day. It's just whatever the time of day in the movie. Folks, welcome to Devon's Movie Dungeon. Devon's Movie Dungeon. In this stream, I have a yap fest about the things I've been watching and seeing. And then we also watch occasionally some trailers. We talk about movie news, and if there's, big award season, we talk about that. Really, it's just a nice little hangout spot for us wannabe cinephiles. Really, that's what this stream is. I was thinking about this today. This stream really is my lifelong quest, because it is a lifelong quest to be a cinephile. Because the thing is, even if you watch all the required, right? It's like the required reading, all right? When you're in college, maybe you have to, if you're in a philosophy class, you have to read, XYZ books, right? I guess you could kind of say the same for movies. I feel like, at least movie Twitter, the online cinephile community, at least from what I'm aware of, they seem to know everything, right? But there's the big names. And we're going to be talking about one of the big names tonight, for sure. But the thing is, there's always new big names being added. It's not like we have a convention, right? And then there's conversation of who's on the master list, but the scene, right? The scene, the community, to me, always be adding things, and it when you see it, kind of thing. At least that's what it feels like, or at least what's the dialogue about. And so I think to be a cinephile, even if you do all the homework, you do all the required reading, it's an ongoing challenge. That's why it's a lifelong journey. Now, I won't promise that this stream will be forever, because nothing's forever. Just like the movies. Some movies, don't have sequels when you wanted one. Some have very final endings, and they're, it's satisfying, and sometimes it's not, right? And that's life too, So, but the ending of this is far away from now. I think. I'm enjoying doing these. This is the fourth iteration. The fourth episode. We are not episoding these, but is that a word? We're not episodically listing these, but they do have dates of when they were streamed, so I guess that's the way to look at it. But yeah, I think this is the fourth one. But yeah, tonight, we're not doing any award coverage. We did last 2 weeks ago, our last one. We covered the Oscars nominations being released. We still have till next month for that. But I did want to talk about, and our big headline thing will be today, is a combination of just where the the big headline really is where is Warner Brothers going to, but part of that also is just the kind of the financial aspect. You can do this with a lot of industry, obviously, especially in the entertainment industry, or even video games, right? You had what's it called today? Blue Point or whatever they're called. That like studio closed after Sony purchased them. And obviously we've seen a lot of similar things in the movie industry for, I mean, just in the last 5 years alone. But I mean, historically, these production companies, some come and go, some buy each other up, and things change and whatnot. I mean, the Fox going to Disney was like a big one. What was that, like 10 years ago, for example? So it's nothing too new. But Warner Brothers, we'll talk about. Warner Brothers is one of those OGs, right? And the fact that they might be being bought by a somewhat newer, in terms of American entertainment history, a newer entity, right, with like Netflix potentially. But yeah, we'll talk about all that, and just like the funding of movies, and like what does that mean? Is it good? Is it bad? But first we're gonna lead off with what we usually lead off with, which is what have I been watching? What have I been watching? And that is a good question. That is a good question, because I think from my very first episode, I said my goal for the year is to watch 100 movies. It's 100 unique movies for the year. Last year I hit 87. And I wasn't like trying to get a certain number last year, but we hit 87 last year. And I think we're on a good start, generally speaking, for 100. We usually do a lot more in like October, but rough math will tell you to do 8 movies a month. Last month we hit, well, how many? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this month we are at 5. And I think I'm going to be able to get maybe 2 more movies in to hit that 8, which will put us in a really good spot, especially in a short month like in February. But yeah, what have I been watching? I guess we'll start with... Actually, let's start with this here. We'll start with TV, because it's not on our letterbox here. But I did finish... I don't even think I mentioned this, but I was watching the first couple episodes last stream. But I did watch Pluribus after hearing a lot of great things, and I was like, oh... I have a thing where, I don't know if anyone else does this, where you're like, you have a couple subscription services and you kind of rotate through them. I mean, I try to watch at least something on each one every month, so it feels like I'm getting my money's worth. But I think we have Apple TV, like my family has it. I don't know who's paying for it. It might be me, it might be my mom, it might be my girlfriend Bryn. I don't know who's paying for it, but we have Apple TV. Severance is on here. Prehistoric Planet are the 2 big things I've watched on Apple TV. At least that I can remember. But Pluribus, yeah, won some awards at the Golden Globes, and I'm like, what is this Pluribus movie? And the synopsis, like, I was like, okay, well, like, I don't know what this... It was pretty vague, and I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. But I was like, okay, it seems comedic, but more like a dark comedy, which I'm into. I'm gonna watch comedy movies or comedy shows. But yeah, gave it a watch and wound up really, really, really enjoying this. It has the same quality, I think, as Severance does. I think Apple, on the production end, does a great job of like shooting on site or shooting on great sets. It doesn't... I think there's a lot in this where it clearly like got a whole parking lot. They got a whole Sprouts grocery store to like film the movie or film the episode in, and in like, I don't know, just I think I've mentioned this maybe last stream, or maybe on a movie review episode we've done on this channel, where like just in the age of like just film it in a freaking giant green screen room and call it a day, and we'll worry about lighting and everything later. Just look, in the age of that. Yeah, because I think I mentioned the It TV show that I enjoyed, but some of the decisions to make things like shoot things in giant green screen rooms like really kind of took me out of it at points. And this movie just was like, or this movie, God, I keep saying that. This TV show, yeah, it was just like really, really good. Very, like you'd think the premise would get repetitive, but it was still very, very solid, and I found myself really invested in every episode. And there's a lot of like little cameos that I enjoyed, and then also just like once again, like I feel like they were shooting on sets or shooting on location, and it just like that was like my big thing where I'm like, it does feel like the world is empty. I'm trying not to spoil the show, but generally speaking, it's about the world's being like under one hive mind basically, and it where everyone's like super positive except for like our one character here, Carol. And I just really like that dynamic. And yeah, it has some really cool, I think, themes to it. I mean, obviously, there's the clash there between like, the the toxic positivity almost versus toxic negativity, right? Some of the negative character traits that Carol has, can be annoying, or maybe somebody's like that, or maybe it's you. I know I found myself being like, yep, I have that tendency to be mopey or whatever about something, and I probably annoy everybody and try to be better about it. But I think also it's just like it's weird. It's like almost science fiction-y, like without going to space or anything like that. And I think I really dug that element as well. Heard the show is great. Yeah, it is. It was really good. I went in with kind of like, all right, let's see what this is all about. Won some awards. I've heard great things from multiple people, and I haven't watched anything on Apple TV in a minute. So let's see what this is. And yeah, I had the quality that Severance had, like I said, where like just the cinematography was great, the settings were great, the pacing was great. It was in the characters and the cast, like it's really just knocking it out of the park for sure. So I'm looking forward to second season. I did see, this is going to go maybe might be brought up in our main conversation tonight. They said it might take a bit to get a second season. That was my issue with Severance as well. It took like 3 years, maybe I think it was like almost 4 years since between seasons. And I mean, even I talked about like the awful green screens and all that, but like Stranger Things, like if you're really excited about that, you had to wait like 3 years to get the next thing, and that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, right? You would get a new Lost season every other year, probably. You would get a new Walking Dead every other year. And granted, I think there is some production choices that add to that. But the whole like thing with like green screens and everything, the argument is like, oh well, we can save time and money, and like I don't think that's the case. But I don't know, that's a whole other problem. But that's the only sucky part, is it sounds like we're not getting anything new from this for a couple years. So I hope I just come back around to it. But it was that good, so I think I will. If I can wait for Severance, I guess I'll wait for this. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that, because like I want to keep us in our hour and a half mark here, under our hour and a half mark, and we have a lot more. I have a lot more here, as you can see. Send Help. I did a movie review of that on this channel. Please go watch it, and I do much more of a deeper dive in that. But I'll just say, early top 5 movie for me for the year. Still a lot of movies to come out and whatnot, and I think end of the year is going to be really big with like Dune coming out and whatnot. So we'll see where it falls, but I mean, it was really, really good, and just once again, just like I'm just really digging. I think I said this in my top movies for 2025 video. You know, as much as I'm excited for Dune 3, I am enjoying just like the one-offs. Like, here's the story. This is one thing. Here's an original idea. Here's not a franchise. You know what I mean? Send Help. Great. Awesome. Fantastic. Sam Raimi. Let him cook. You don't have to do Marvel again, my dude. Next up here is a... gosh, I have it in the other... God damn, I should have grabbed it. So this movie, I'd be surprised if anyone's heard of it. I kickstarted this project. So Shrine of Abominations is a stop-motion short. I think it's like 41 minutes, 42 minutes. And I got it last year in the mail around Halloween, and I meant to watch it, and then like I was like clearing off the table, and I put it on my shelf, and I kind of forgot about it, unfortunately. Because it would have been a great Halloween time movie. But the main guy, the reason I even kickstarted this was the artist who was one of the two creators of this project. His name is Skinner. He's from Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. Showing his art on screen here. He does a lot of that kind of psychedelic color palette and just monsters. Like he's done like D&D stuff. How I heard of him originally was in like 2014, 2015. He did the album cover and also a music video for my favorite band, Mastodon. He did like a little stop motion kind of thing as well for one of their songs, Asleep in the Deep. But he did the cover for their album Once More Around the Sun that came out at that time. And that's one of my favorite kind of summer albums. But the art is just has that, once again, that psychedelic, just black background, but then just like very bright neon color, something you'd see maybe at like a miniature golf, indoor miniature golf or laser tag place or whatnot. But I've always liked his art. One of my dreams is to get a like one of one, or even, I would settle for a print in general, but I need to get one of his work at some point. But yeah, he's done comic book. He's done a lot of stuff. He actually announced that he did a couple pieces for what's that one game that just came out? High Life 2, or what's that one? Is it like I forget what it's called. It's like high something. But he did some pieces in that, I guess. He like mentioned it on Instagram. But yeah, one of his big like projects he was working on for multiple years, and he asked for a Kickstarter to kind of finish out the production of it, was Shrine of Abominations here. It was very, very high on life too. Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was. I just remember in our little fantasy critic game there, someone has it. I don't remember who. But yeah, Shrine of Abominations has that 80s like monster kind of, maybe not 80s even, maybe like even earlier, Jason the Argonauts like kind of stop motion appeal, but it was high frame rate, so it was very fluid, but it had all his color palettes in there, very psychedelic, like I said, very trippy. I think it is one of those things that you don't have to be high, but if you were high, I think you would enjoy it even more. And there's some cool just metal, and I say that because there is like literally metal music playing throughout it. And it just has it's a loose plot about this like wizard trying to take over this planet. I think it's called like Golgothar or something like that. It's very like D&D in that aspect, but then like all the monsters are like a combination of dinosaurs and like skeleton or skeletal like creatures, and it's just very, very creative and just like hell yeah, easy watch. So if you like any of those things, it's, I don't know if it's on like Amazon or anything. I think it might be somewhere, but I got it physically as part of my Kickstarter. I got a signed copy, Blu-ray copy of the movie. It came with a Blu-ray and a DVD, which is nice. And then there was a little like 10-minute like behind the scenes of it as well, and where they talked about like where making the project, but also just like the love of the like they talked. There was like a message at the end that I really resonated with and really liked, was that like if you're doing art for the sake of art, great, like that should be your main like thing. Like if you're worrying too much about the money or worrying too much about the success of it, and that's weighing you down, like maybe that is like maybe this isn't the project to do it on. And they really just like emphasize that like this project was like just straight passion and will, but it was just really good. And just like, if anything, I wish it was longer. It was 40 minutes. That's my one critique. I wish it was longer. But yeah, really cool. Really cool. Shout out to Skinner and the Shrine of Abominations. Next up here, I got this movie, Fargo. I finally watched it. I know there's a TV show that came out. It had like 4 or 5 seasons in the 2010s. That was decent. I'm assuming it was decent if there was 5 seasons. But yeah, I've seen, I think, chunks of Fargo in one of my film classes in college, but I don't think I've seen it straight through, and because I don't remember half of the stuff in it. But yeah, I know this is like considered a classic from the Coen brothers there, and also like I know people from Minnesota have like pointed at this movie as kind of like giving some extra love to Minnesota and the like Minnesota nice kind of attitude that Minnesotans have. I've been to Minnesota once in like January, and everyone was very nice, but very cold, obviously. But yeah, this movie was pretty good. I enjoyed the comedic elements. I did like the general story. Steve Buscemi's in this. Isn't it in North Dakota? Yes. So, but most of the story takes place in Minnesota. So yeah, it's Fargo, North Dakota, but it's like right at the border of Minnesota and North Dakota. And so the main part of the story is the detective. So it's like a murder hostage situation. Well, it's a hostage plot. Long story short, I mean, the movie's been out since '96, but I'll try still not to spoil it here too much. But basically, there's a dude who hires some guys to basically abduct and abduct his wife to hold her hostage for a ransom. But the husband's in on it, right? And the reason he's in on it, and he knows that he'll get good money for her, is because he works for his wife's father at a car dealership, and he has like a lot of money. So it's basically like a big scheme, right? And shit hits the fan basically, and that's that's like one part of the plot. And the other part of the plot is the cops from Fargo going into Minnesota once they get a lead, and trying to find out who did it, even though we as the audience see everything. So there's no like twists for us, but it's a twist maybe for the detectives and the cops. But Steve Buscemi's in this, and he was my favorite character. Like he was really good in this. I really enjoyed his dynamic with his partner there. I'm forgetting his name, apologies, but really good. And quick quickly picked up. I'm like, all right, they're doing the Minnesota accent, and they're just like turning it up a couple notches, so it's a little over the top, but it's definitely on purpose, and I found that very comedic. I can, like I said, see why some folks from Minnesota resonate with this movie. I think the only issue with it was like, and maybe this is my, like, once again, just being like, this is considered a classic and whatnot, and watching it, I just thought it was like, it was solid, like it was good. I enjoyed it. I had generally fun with it, but like there was something missing from it for me, or maybe like I felt like the climax of the movie it was just fine. Like it wasn't like it tried to keep escalating, and I feel like that's the only, like, for these type of movies you need to kind of escalate the stakes, and I just felt like it was more of like, it was more of a classical story, right, where you have your your incline up to your apex of the story, and then you come back down, right? So it's more classic like that. But I don't know, like I just feel like it like kept raising the stakes, and then it just kind of quickly, like towards the end of the movie, just kind of been like, all right, we're gonna get our resolution now, which was fine. Like I said, it's still a very great movie, but I just kind of was like, all right, that's cool. I kind of wanted something more, but I don't, like, I just felt like there was something missing, but I can't really put my finger on it, or maybe I just needed to be more action, because there was a lot of like of violent moments throughout the movie, and obviously there's a famous scene at the end that is pretty violent in terms of what he's doing, but it just kind of like quickly gets wrapped up. I don't know, just felt like it was just wrapped up a little too quickly for me, but still very good. If you like crime thrillers, I think you'll like this movie if you hadn't seen it. And the comedy is pretty good. It's like more of a dark comedy again. Yeah, pretty good. Speaking of comedies, even though comedies are not my favorite genre, I don't mind my dark comedies, like I mentioned, but Blazing Saddles is definitely one of them. This is technically a rewatch. I think I've seen this, or at least I've seen all the big bits in this movie in a film class, but I'm pretty sure I watched the whole movie in film class, and maybe I just don't remember it because it's been 10 years. But yeah, Blazing Saddles, really, really good. Wanted to rewatch it again. So going back to what I said earlier with, like, I was watching Apple TV, I have HBO Max, and I was like, oh, what's on HBO Max? Any movies, coming out or whatever? Or sorry, not coming out, but ones that are still say like what movies are leaving. And Blazing Saddles is leaving, and I knew Bryn and I wanted to watch it because every couple months I mean, granted, we haven't really been keeping up on it, but we try to watch a Western once in a while of like different eras and whatnot. And I was like, oh, let's watch this one. Because Mel Brooks, who directed this movie, he also did Son of Frankenstein as well, with Gene Wilder again. And I think that both those movies came out the same year, or like back to back, maybe 73, 74. But yeah, my favorite thing about this movie is I've seen it pops up like once a year. Not gonna say it's a heavy hitting joke or anything, but it happens like once a year where you'll see some conservative Twitter bot or something like that will show a scene from this movie and be like, they would never make a movie like this today. They would never do that. And it's like, this movie is making fun of you. Like, you actually could make this movie today, I think. It's just that you guys don't have media literacy enough to realize the jokes in the movie aren't how, like, hey, he said something racist. It's like, wow, look at these dumb racists. You know what I mean? Like that, they don't understand that, and it's just really funny watching this again. Like I said, I think I've seen this before in full. But watching this again with a fresh brain, recently, I think it holds up pretty well. Some of the comedic bits are I'm sure like were funnier in the 70s. We're just like, oh, haha, like, you know what I mean? But a lot of the social commentary, I think, is there's some elements that I would say are still relevant to today, which is sad. But if folks want to kind of a look into a post-Civil Rights Act America, like what was happening in American society when it came to race, because you got to remember, Civil Rights Act was 65. So this is only 9 years apart, and you're probably thinking, oh, 9 years is a long time. But like when you think about it, like, look at our political situation. Like, look at the 9-year difference, right? There's still ripple effects to that. There's still ripple effects for things, 20, 30 years ago, right? So I think this is a movie where if you kind of wanted to get a look at, in a satirical way, look at American society, especially more of like, white, the white folks of society, right? Like the society that probably still doesn't like that the Civil Rights Act passed, right? They're not into abolishing segregation and whatnot. Like, even if it's allowed now, like we don't want you here. That's basically the premise of the whole movie, right? Is a black guy working on the railroad gets basically sent to this town that the railroad's actually trying to go through, but they need everyone to leave the town, so they make him the sheriff in this white town to make everyone uncomfortable and hopefully leave, right? Make everyone mad and leave. And so that's like the main premise, right? But there, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of really good jokes in this movie, and like I said, great social commentary. Like I said, I think it holds up for the most part. And I don't mean that in like, oh, these jokes are too far. Like I said, just some of the comedy I think is more like, haha, at moments. But like I said, the social commentary is great. Once again, if you want a look into that time period, I think this is a great movie to point to. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of the reasons we like looked at it in my film class, in terms of just like, hey, how does this reflect what's happening in the now, But yeah, Blazing Saddles. All right, we're at 37 minutes. I'm trying to hurry up here, but I promise the next parts will be a little bit shorter, I think. So next one I watched is, and I should have been opening these up here before. Next one up here is another 70s movie. Also, it was leaving, at least HBO was saying it was leaving HBO soon. Taxi Driver, which I've heard great things, or I might have seen a clip from before. Directed by the GOAT, Martin Scorsese. And I was mentioning at the top of the stream, right, that I'm like, there's like certain movies or directors you need to be like watching to earn that cinephile title, right? And obviously Martin Scorsese's got to be one of those. And after watching this, though, I did look at his filmography here, and I'm a fucking fraud, dude. I'm a fraud. I don't know ball at all. The only, including Taxi Driver, I've only seen, of his 26 movies, I've only seen 3. I have some work to do. And the movies I have seen was his last one, Killers of the Flower Moon. Fantastic. Depressing as hell. One of those movies that you watch once because you're like, holy shit. And it's also really long. I wouldn't cut anything, but it's one of those movies that like, just like, you're like, fuck, man. Shit. I've seen Hugo, which I didn't know he did. I never would have guessed that, because I always thought he did, non animated. Like I thought he always did in the flesh movies, right? But Hugo, And I remember Hugo. I remember, you know, the kid and the clock, and then he sees the old movies, like the trip to the moon and all that. But I've not seen Shutter Island. It's been on my list to watch. I've not seen The Departed. It's been on my list to watch. Wolf of Wall Street. One of those movies that everyone talks about, and I just never seen it. Irishman, I've heard good things. Gangs of New York, heard great things. Goodfellas, yup, I haven't seen that, I know. New York, New York. Live action, I know. But it's cooler to say in the flesh movies. Yeah, Taxi Driver, really, really good. It has a young Robert De Niro in it, and like a 14-year-old Jodie Foster's in it. But the whole cast is really, really good. It's very noir. One thing I pointed out in my little letterbox review is the fucking textures in this movie, and I mean this literally. Like, he has zoom-ins on, like, especially in the first, like, scene in the movie, he has a zoom-in of like, just the water, like, rain, like, water droplets on the taxi, like, just on the window, on the mirror, on the back of it, and it just, like, just looks so fucking good. I know, it's, like, simple, but just, like... The last movie I saw that had like this much detail to textures was fuck, what was it called? It's just on the tip of my tongue. It came out, was that last year? No, it's gonna bother me. Oh, it was with Nicolas Cage there. The horror movie, holy shit. Holy fucking shit, I can't remember it. Whatever, doesn't matter, I guess. We had a similar thing where it was like the rain on the car. And there's like something about that for me. It just makes my brain tick. Like, it just rained and there's like that on the car. But then there's just like other parts in the movie where it's just like so much attention to detail, so much mise en scène. You know, just like long legs. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Ethan in chat there for the long legs. But also just like, yeah, there's like so many parts in the movie where like there's just a close up and just like you can see it, man. And I really dig that shit. Not saying movies don't do that now, but that with like the film grain and in the, you know, the actual film grain from the 70s. That's why I like the 70s, I think, of all decades of movies I watch, is that like it was just like they were more attention to detail, or just like the color gradient, all that shit, dude, was just like it was kind of peak at that time. Or at least directors and cinematographers were really trying to like emphasize on that. I felt like I said, it's not like they don't do it now, but if anything, now I feel like everything's too natural lighting. Everything's too trying to be realistic. Back then, you know, I mean, this movie's a noir film. Obviously, a lot of people think of noir as black and white, because that's where noir originally came out of. Movies like M in the 30s, and then later in the 40s. And obviously, I think you can do that dynamic a little bit easier, I guess you could say, with black and white. But there's still a lot of great noir shit in this movie, man. Like, it's sometimes you can barely make out them walking through like a dark hallway, or you have the neon signs sticking out when the rest of the street is dark. Very just fits the vibe of, you know, this takes place in New York City, and during this time, New York City was in a lot of places was very underrun and, you know, downright shitty, right? So it fits a lot. And I quickly realized, because I remember this story. I mean, I do my little political commentation on my Twitch channel. I'm forgetting the guy's name, but the guy who tried to kill Ronald Reagan did it to impress Jodie Foster, right? I knew it was from a movie, like he was like referencing a movie, or he was trying to like he was influenced by a movie, but I didn't remember what it was offhand. But I quickly was like, oh, it's probably this movie, isn't it? And then I Googled it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it is. Jodie Foster is in this, but also more of the fact that the actions of our main character, Travis, here. I was like, oh, okay. But I did really just like the kind of the people he picks up almost represent his subconscious, or his feelings of what he wants to do. You know, he picks up somebody. He actually, the Jodie Foster's character gets taken away by the pimp at one point, and then later in the film, he tries to pull. Blanking on everyone's character right now, but trying to pull. He has a crush on this one lady who works at a. One of the politicians' headquarters in New York, and he basically stalks her for quite some time, and he tries to get with her, and she's into him until she isn't, and you know, he starts to be very shitty, right? And like, I just love the reflection of how the roles change, but he's repeating a lot of the things that he sees that he criticizes. They make an emphasis multiple times of him criticizing how shit of a shithole it is that he's working. When he works, you know, he's going picking up these people, they're all assholes or degenerates, but he does a lot of the same shit they do. You know what I mean? He just doesn't try to look like them necessarily, or he thinks he's above it. And it's just very, you know, I just like that kind of mirrored reflection, I guess, that the audience gets to have with that. But yeah, really great film. Dude was cooking in 1976. He has a cameo in it as well, and I'm like, is that him? And then once I looked it up, I'm like, oh, it is him. God. But yeah. Also, I like how the movie is kind of like a. I guess the best way to describe it, I like the kind of victim of fate, where like he has one intention, and things don't go his way, and then he winds up being a hero when he easily could have been a villain. I just find that interesting as well. But yeah, Taxi Driver. I need to watch more Scorsese films. I need to catch up big time. I don't even know where to start next, but maybe I start from the beginning. I don't know. And then also leaving HBO Max, I threw this movie on because it was an hour and 7 minutes, and we had an hour to watch something, and it just seemed like your average 50s cheesy horror movie, B-movie, the disembodied, you know, metal-ass title, but it's very 50s. Very 50s. It's about like a woman who lives with her husband, who's a doctor, and she can do voodoo shit, basically. And they live in the middle of a jungle. They don't say which jungle, they just say the jungle. And you know, in 1957, it didn't matter what jungle it was, because Americans would just hodgepodge that all together. They're like, it could be the Amazon, it could be Africa, it could be the jungles in Jamaica. It doesn't matter to us. They're all the same. In my little note I did on my letterbox here, I said, I'm like, this movie has all the things of the 50s, the good and the bad, in terms of 50s horror movies, where there's a lot of cultural appropriation, or just a complete fabrication of culture, or just, like I said, a hodgepodge of cultures to the point where it's offensive. I was kind of expecting it to not be necessarily, you know, done in a tasteful way. It is what it is, but sometimes these movies are just stupid fun, and you put them on. One thing I did like about this movie, though, was the fact that, you know, as the audience, we get to see very quickly that our voodoo priestess here, she holds all the cards for the most part. No, she does hold all the cards, and she's okay manipulating all the men around her. And I did find that, interesting or different. They didn't just try to make it like, I don't know, just like she has this thing, but like it's her and their husband. It's like, no, she acts alone. She only cares about her self-interest, and she manipulates her husband, and her husband can't do anything about it. She manipulates the people native to the jungle. She manipulates our white dudes, or two white dudes, and then there was a dude, I think from maybe Jamaica. I don't remember. There's one, yeah, he's black, and then there's two white dudes, but they keep making a point to be like, we have white people coming, which also implies, I'm like, is she and the doctor not supposed to be white? Like I said, back to the cultural appropriation. And there's also, I'm pretty sure, a white guy who plays a native person. But whatever. I digress about that point. Overall, it's very 50s. It was rated PG, and it's 50s PG, where anyone who gets killed or stabbed or anything is shown off screen, then it comes back and they're dead or whatever. There's basically like no blood or anything shown. So unfortunately, it's like still in that time period where even if the concept maybe in theory seems cool, or the plot you're like, okay, maybe we'll see where this goes, it just lacks in the in just the ability to show anything. But going back to my point with Blazing Saddles, but maybe lesser to extent, is the 57. Like I said, you can look at this movie and just see, like I said, how society viewed different cultures, how it viewed women, right? Like, I think this movie does have, like I said, she's only caring about herself, and she's very pretty, so she kind of uses that to her advantage to like control the men, but also she has literal voodoo magic as well. So I just found that very interesting, and I think kind of once again fits the time period of because women's rights was also even though women got their suffrage in the 1920s, you still had the 50s was the big time for the you're the housewife, I go to work, and then that's it, right? Women independence, right? So if you really want to get super into that lens, sure. I think there's a lot better movies you could watch from this time period, or things like The Twilight Zone you could probably watch instead. Yeah, it was very just fine, if not just kind of whatever. If it was another 20 minutes longer, I probably would have not liked this even more. But for an hour and 7 minutes, whatever, man. This is something you'd put on a B-sides DVD collection. It's probably why it's on HBO, because sometimes HBO just gets random old movies like that probably were cheap to no money to put on. Whew. All right. I watched that on yesterday. So yeah, we're on a good pace here, folks. We're on a good pace of watching movies. Like I said, I'm hoping to get 2 more in there. I saw on HBO Max there was Watch the TV Glow, which I heard was pretty decent. I need to check that one out, and then I might be seeing Good Luck, Don't Die, or whatever it's called. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die next week, which I heard the people who did the first couple Pirates of the Caribbean movies made, and I've heard that there's some like anti-AI messaging in it or something like that. That's all I know about it. I haven't even seen the trailer for it. All right, let's move on to actually I wanted to watch this one trailer here, and then we'll go into our main subject tonight. But like I said, this beginning part I knew was going to be a little bit longer because I've been watching a lot. All right, here we go. I keep seeing everyone talk about Woody's bald spot, but let's see what it's all about. I feel like no one's really giving a shit. Outside of the bald spot, no one was talking about this online, I feel like, and compared to Toy Story 4 and 3, right? I just, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, why are we making another one? You should have ended it. Let it be. Really should have ended it with Toy Story 2, right? Or just Toy Story. I don't know. I mean, I remember Toy Story 3 was decent. Toy Story 4, I don't really remember what happened, except there was, like, a pawn shop that the Key and Peele characters were in. I don't really remember. And Keanu Reeves was in it. When did that come out? I think I was still in Baltimore when that came out, so I want to say it's like 2019. Well, let's see what this is all about.
You, Forky, to Karen Beverly to be your beloved bride.
Yay! Ah, I now pronounce you husband and knife. Who poisoned the maid of honor?
Bonnie, there's a package for you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Hi there, I'm Lilypad.
Okay, if they do... Okay, I'm going to sound very boomer here and contradictory to, you know, being a streamer right now and being addicted to my own cell phone. I am very much, like, anti-iPads, anti-pad, you know, video game bullshit for kids. And I'm okay being the boomer. I'm okay being the old head. Be like, back in my day, we read fucking books. Like, I know, like, my generation did have, like, the Nook, you know, and then eventually had some of the, like, touchpad stuff. Because I know I think I had something like that. But it was like you put a little magazine, like, plastic magazine down, and then you would, like, hit the things and it would talk or whatever. Very boomer indeed. But I mean, I do, like, cell phones have not been around long enough yet. I mean, we already do see the, like, dopamine and, like, I mean, look at fucking social media. Look at YouTube right now of, like, how people's attention spans are fucking breaking because of things like cell phones. And I've only had a cell phone for maybe half my life. Like, an actual smart cell phone, you know, a computer. That, like, we don't know what the long-term impacts that will be if you start introducing kids, I feel like, at the age of 5 or 6 to, like, give me cell phone, give me my iPad so I can eat dinner at Red Robin's, or give me iPad so I just shut the fuck up. Granted, I'm not a parent. I shouldn't criticize, but I know one day I will be a parent, and it's a tough decision that, like, me and Brent have already talked about, where we're like, how do we handle the cell phones that, like, unfairly, you know, 'cause on one hand you don't want to completely take it away from them, because then they're gonna get fucking bullied in school, or just complain more, right? Where they're gonna go into school and be like, everyone in my grade has a cell phone, or everyone in my grade has the new iPad or the LilyPad thing here. So I'd be, if they do an angle where it's like, these are we don't know, we gotta, like, do something about this. What happened to just playing with toys and using your imagination? I'd be okay with that.
Let's play.
Oh, extinction, not again.
If that is the angle they're going for.
Bonnie, screen time's over now.
Okay.
I want to talk to you, Device.
Please, call me Lily.
Me and the toys have been working all summer to try and get Bonnie to make friends.
Yeah.
But then you had to ruin
Got
it.
it.
You're not even listening to me.
Oh my god, are they gonna do it?
See? Now look here. Me and the toys have been working all summer. Now in Spanish.
What?
Yeah, I got dibs on behind the dresser.
Jesse, hello?
Is it as bad out there for toys as they say it is?
We're finding more abandoned toys each day.
Oh my
Tex
god.
invaded our house.
All the toys, dude. The refugees.
I don't know, Jesse. Toys are for play, but tech is
For everything.
I'm losing Bonnie to this device.
Friend in me.
Came here as fast as I could.
Why are you wearing a dress, Woody?
It's called a poncho, Forky.
Someone needs
Yeah, that's all I saw. That's all I've seen from this is the friggin' bald spot joke. Man, these actors sound old now. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's been 30 years. Like, I mean, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Eventually, you got to tap out. You got to just call, you know, you don't want, because what happens if, you know,
Who goes
what's his
there?
name dies or whatever.
I come in peace.
It's been too long, cowboy.
What are you, some sort of old man?
I mean, even SpongeBob though, like he sounds like. Have you ever seen like a clip from a newer SpongeBob? Like he's gone down a couple octaves.
What?
SpongeBob is Unk now.
Because you're bald, Woody.
Bonnie needs help from someone at least from the same century. So long, toys.
So is this? I mean, the last two movies, or fuck it, since the first movie, really, there's always been like, we need a villain toy. I guess the second movie was the toy collector, right? Who like, you know, mismanages toys and whatever. But the third one was the teddy bear, like the OG toys or whatever, right? And the fourth one was, I think, was it the fork one? The fork dude? I don't remember.
We're gonna need backup.
God, they're gonna have a D-Day scene with the fucking other Buzz Lightyears? Hell yeah, actually, that's kind of cool.
Just getting away, Buzz. Our mission on this planet is to make a child happy.
Bonnie still needs us. Come on, Bullseye.
Buzz, you stay here. I'm going with them.
You don't think I can do it?
No!
Nice poncho.
It's good to see them fighting again.
It sure is.
God, I just remember the on my Macintosh computer, I had a Toy Story video game that had like different mini games on it, and I'm like, it's like so fleeting, my memory. But I think there was like I think it was the second movie, because Zurg was in it, and then there was like a game where you're on the conveyor belt in the airport or whatever. God, I gotta see if I can find that. I don't even know what it was called. Like I said, it's so fleeting, the memory. And then I also had the Toy Story like Mario Kart game on PlayStation 1. That was fire. That was a good game. I had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I kind of don't... I mean, I don't mind the messaging. Like I said, call me boomer, but... you know, maybe, like, you know, part of the marketing with these movies is like, hey, you have kids now, you know, for the Disney adults who have kids. You remember Toy Story. You might be having this conundrum with your kids and the iPads and stuff. So I guess the marketing's working on me, but at the same time, I mean, I'll probably see this if I'm going to see a Pixar, you know, it's either The Incredibles or Toy Story. Yo, that Chun-Li suggested video. I know, 12 views 9 hours ago. Or Marry Me Tomodachi by Giant Bomb. Alright, let's, since we're at, you know, an hour, 3 minutes here, let's get to our main thing. Actually, this is kind of related, right? Disney, right? Disney owns, Fox owns Fox. They bought that, like I said, like 10, maybe 12 years ago. That was a big deal, right? It was like, oh, Disney now owns the X-Men, so now they can bring the X-Men to the MCU, which they're trying to do now. You know, you had, you know, Deadpool versus Wolverine there, right? I think that was the really first big, X-Men, you know, under Disney thing, right? You had Deadpool, but, you know, Deadpool, I think the first Deadpool, right? Or was it the first two that was before the Disney acquisition? I don't remember. But long story short, I'm saying all this is that, you know, production companies have come and go, but there has been a clear consolidation of the big conglomerates happening. And you know how I don't know if other people have this opinion, but my opinion is the more consolidation you have, the less good shit you get. Like you get more slop. I mean, you obviously have the AI bullshit that's been happening for the last couple years, and it's really starting to, I think, turn a corner, hopefully in the direction of AI's bubble bursting. And I mean, there's some elements I don't think will ever go away, but I'm hoping a lot of it does, at least in the like mainstream. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know if deep faking and like I mean not deep faking, but like generative AI like from politicians and stuff. I don't know if that'll go away. But I'm hoping. I mean, I think the culture around it has shifted, but maybe that's just me. But most of it is online. You know, and a lot of people I do talk to are very anti-AI now, who maybe weren't a year or two ago. But with that, what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, you have your consolidation, you have these companies putting out slop, right? You have your AI slop, you have your regular slop. You know, people criticize Stranger Things for one, taking too long to be made, and then two, it looks like dog shit. You have companies trying to like make, you know, if they go into every movie, not saying every single one, but generally speaking, they're like, if we're rebooting a franchise, it has to get Marvel numbers. It has to get, you know, this box office numbers. And I see this a lot online as well, where, you know, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, that I really enjoyed, the sequel, is to the 28 years later, but it's like this new trilogy that they have planned, and they filmed the first two movies back to back. And now there's rumors that the third one is in limbo. It might not actually happen because it didn't, you know, the second one didn't do well at the box office, or the marketing wasn't good enough to do well at the box office, whatever it is. And, you know, this goes back to the main tough part as someone who enjoys art, enjoys engaging with art. And I mean art in the terms of music, movies, video games, you know, anything that human beings take a lot of time to create out of the passion to do so. Under capitalism, I believe that a lot of stuff does get made, though, with the intention of making money first, and that's usually the shit that's bad. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love my franchises. Godzilla is one of my favorite things ever. And at the end of the day, Toho makes them to make money, right? Like, they make them to make money, first and foremost. Granted, sometimes, I mean, the last couple they've made, I feel like they do take it more seriously, or at least trying to make Godzilla fresh and new, or attempt different things, because they get different directors who are at least passionate about telling a new story, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you know, these companies are asking for more and more, like, payout, right? Or asking for more and more, at the end of the day, they're looking for more money. And if they feel that they, you know, if they're going to do a movie that has, or a TV show that has a $300 million budget, they need to see that doubled, or else it's considered not a success. Even by some fans, they're like, oh, this movie was mid. It didn't do well at the box office. And then obviously when you do have like a smaller film do well at the box office, it's considered a really big success. And I generally think it's a good barometer to see like what the general public thinks of a movie, or at least they're engaging with it, right? But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be the end-all be-all. And that's just something that's been really, like, I've been thinking about lately, where it's like, you know, like, under capitalism, all the art at the end of the day is still through that lens of trying. At the end of the day, like, you want people to engage with it, but, you know, the production side of it, the producers, the reason they produce a movie in the first place, most times than not, probably 99% of times than not, is to make money, right? And everyone, you know, criticizes the Marvel movies, but they still get money because people still go and see them. If people stopped going and see them, they weren't making any money, they wouldn't give a shit anymore. They wouldn't give a shit about, I mean, the reason, like, they cut, like, the Blade movie, right? Because it's just been stuck in limbo too long, and they're okay cutting that tie off. Or, like, the fact that the production company for 28 years later, The Bone Temple, the movie ends with, like, a clear direction of what the third movie will be, and if they're just like, oh, well, the money's not there, so screw it. They don't give a fuck about the art. You know what I mean? That's the difference, right? Like, the directors and the writers, like at the end of the day, they're trying to tell their stories, but they're at the whim of, you know, production companies. And the big story right now, like I said at the top of the stream here, is that Warner Brothers is kind of an OG, right? Not saying Warner Brothers is great. They have a history of, you know, making dog shit things, or also being part of the machine. But they also have funded a lot of movies that are great and whatnot. Like I said, that isn't a testament to the production companies themselves. It's more of the fact that under capitalism, that is the way for some people to get their stories out there, to get their art out of there. One big red flag that's happening right now, like I said, consolidation has been happening more and more, especially since the 80s, in all sources of industry. Video games, movies, music, whatever, you name it. But like Warner Brothers has been around for over 100 years. And the fact that they might be bought up by Netflix, let's actually get to our thing here, by Netflix or Paramount, is crazy. I mean, I'd argue, like, if you start, I mean, people joke about Amazon owning everything and Disney owning everything, and like Warner Brothers and Paramount, Netflix, you know, those are kind of the other big guns. But like once one of them buys, you know, Warner Brothers here, it's kind of like, and also in this is, yeah, Discovery's in this, all this, right? Like it eventually it's just going to be like three, maybe two, you know, things and two companies, right? And I just don't think that's a good thing, especially with what's happening politically in this country. You know, we continue our descent into fascism, where we see late night show hosts episodes not being aired or interviews not being aired. Eventually they can control, even they already do control a good extent of things. I mean, we do have still pretty decent freedom of speech. But who's to say the more you have consolidated and whatnot, and the more in tune they are with the state, that like eventually you're going to get less and less, or you're going to get art that doesn't challenge anything, doesn't challenge the status quo. Taxi Driver, I was talking about before, is a, you know, from that time period, from the 70s in New York City, was showing kind of the conflict of the shitty parts of New York City, but also the people who come in there thinking they're better than the people who live in those circumstances. For example, you don't get those challenges. That's what I'm very much worried about. But let's just talk about the top of the line here. So long story short, so Netflix and Paramount Skydance have been battling over Warner Brothers. I think Netflix said that they gave an offer that was like really crazy. Then Paramount has offered more, and it's been a back and forth. And all this is happening while you know, the federal government's supposed to like oversee big deals like this to make sure it's not a either you know, monopoly situation, or just that like it won't affect the I mean, really it's a monopoly situation, but also just won't affect the competition, right? Like, even if you're pro-capitalism, you should see this and be like, this isn't good. This will just crush competition. But let's actually watch the, is this, let me make sure, let me refresh this. I don't know if it's the same video. 50 minutes.
Capital, where today we sat down exclusively
watch
with
this whole
President. I'm in.
Oh, this is the full interview. Never mind. Let me just read this then. President Donald Trump said he plans to stay out of the Netflix and Paramount. This is the most recent thing, February 4th. President Donald Trump said he plans to stay off Netflix and Paramount Skydance's battle over Warner Brothers Discovery, a shift from comments he made last year that suggests he could potentially weigh in on a deal set to reshape the media landscape. I haven't been involved, Trump told NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Lamas in an exclusive interview Wednesday. I must say, I guess I'm considered to be a very strong president. I've been called by both sides. It's the two sides, but I decided I shouldn't be involved. The Justice Department will handle it. Pressed about the competing arguments around the deal, Trump acknowledged the sharp divide between the bidders. There's a theory that one of the companies is too big and it shouldn't be allowed to do it, and the other company is saying something else, he said. They're beating the hell out of each other, and there will be a winner. In December, Netflix announced a $72 billion deal, insane money, to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery's film studio along with HBO and HBO Max. Once again, HBO and Netflix are supposed to be, competing. And I think it's good, because I think HBO Max is better than Netflix by a long shot. Do you want that Netflix quality with fucking HBO? Simple as that. We don't have to even talk about capitalism and all that. Just like, think of Netflix's quality and think of HBO's quality generally. Do you think that's a good idea? I forgot to even mention this, Disney bought ESPN, for example, and then, hey, they try to pitch it to the consumer like, hey, you can buy the Disney Plus ESPN package so you can watch, your kids can watch Frozen 2 while you put on the basketball game, right? Like, and they pitch it to you. But then there's no other way to buy ESPN anymore. Like, they try to bundle it to be like, you want cheaper, buy the bundle, and they keep raising the bundle price, and eventually you just have fucking cable again, and more so. You want to watch ESPN? You gotta get the ESPN Plus, but you might as well get Disney Plus too, which is $3 extra a month. Another subscription service, right? But for the quality, like I said, isn't that great, because ESPN also sucks ass. If anyone who watches sports knows, ESPN, I think, is awful compared, especially for like NFL. I hate ESPN. Monday Night Football used to be great, and it's pretty like corporate and just bland for the most part in terms of their production and whatnot. Sunday Night Football I think is better, but whatever. But Paramount Skydance is led by David Ellison, the son of Larry Ellison, the billionaire co-founder of Oracle and prominent supporter of Trump. Obviously, that's been a whole other thing if you've been paying attention. The Ellisons are the controlling shareholders of Paramount. Trump has maintained a close relationship with the elder Ellison, a dynamic that has drawn attention as the bidding war over Warner Brothers Discovery has intensified. I need to drink something. My throat's starting to hurt. After Warner Brothers Discovery rejected Paramount's offers in favor of Netflix proposal, the Ellison-run company escalated its efforts into a hostile takeover attempt, prompting Netflix to amend its bid to an all-cash offer, widely seen as a move to fend off rival interests. So we're not talking about like liquid, we're talking about cash money. In December, Trump publicly questioned whether a transaction between Netflix and Warner Bros. Discovery would be approved, citing concerns about market concentration. They have a very big market share, Trump said in December. When they have Warner Bros., the share goes up a lot. He had that he would consult economists and said, I'll be involved in that decision. So he's contradicting himself. Shocking, I know. Trump never does that. Trump's decision to step back could be seen as favorable to Netflix, which already has a deal in place. It also comes against the backdrop of his past public criticism of major media companies, including repeated attacks on Warner Brothers' owned CNN and calls for the networks to change ownership, even though CNN is not included in Netflix's proposed acquisition. Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders could vote on Netflix's proposed acquisition as early as March, though any deal would still require approval from the Justice Department's Antitrust Division and regulators abroad, including the European Commission. I did not know that the European Commission gets a say. European Commission, I feel like, is a little bit more restrictive from my knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I remember, is a little bit more restrictive of going after companies, and consolidations. Historically, presidents have rarely intervened directly in antitrust approvals, though Trump had shown a greater willingness than most to comment publicly on major corporate deals, including the proposed Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery transaction and Nippon Steel's acquisition of U.S. Steel. Trump's this is the crazier part too. Trump's financial interest into the companies has also come into focus. Trump disclosed in January that he purchased up to $2 million worth of Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery bonds in the days after Netflix deal announcement, according to a financial disclosure form released by the White House. The filing showed multiple purchases of Netflix and Warner-related bonds in mid-December. The exact amounts reported in ranges rather than precise figures. The White House previously maintained that they have no conflicts of interest between Trump's role as president and his personal investment in businesses. Like, come on, man. This goes back to what I'm saying. Like, consolidation's already bad, just generally. And then once you add in a potential, people in power, federal power, lining their pockets and saying, "Oh, we will just wait and see." Bullshit, dude. Like I said, we've also seen what they've been doing with CBS. What the government has been doing with CBS. Separately, Netflix proposed acquisition facing mounting scrutiny on Capitol Hill this week. On Tuesday, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos testified before the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust, Competition Policy, and Consumer Rights, arguing the deal would expand competition rather than reduce it. Sarandos said the transaction was not a typical media merger and rejected claims that it would limit consumer choice or lead to widespread job losses. Bullshit. Bullshit. Also, yeah, widespread job losses. If you know anybody who works, has ever worked for a job that gets bought out by some company, ask them if there's ever layoffs within a year or two. like clockwork. It's bullshit. And also, even if it wasn't, we can't take people's word for it. Like, there's no, they won't have a contract that says we won't lay anyone off. They just won't do that. So, I just don't believe it. Lawmakers from both parties pressed Sarandos, though, for different reasons. Democrats raised concerns about consolidation and labor impacts, while several Republican senators criticized Netflix over what they describe as politically biased or overwhelmingly woke content. What? What's is there something that's super woke on Netflix I'm not aware of? Like, was Stranger Things woke? Considered woke? If anything, like, I would say HBO is more woke. Whatever. Sarandos told lawmakers that Netflix has no political agenda and offers programming for all left, right, and center. For all left, right, and center. Yeah, man. It's crazy. But, while we're doing this and restricting creativity, I want to give a shout out. And like I said, it's still capitalism, and I think, my dream utopian world would be people could just make whatever the fucking art they want to make with no need to worry about budgets and whatnot, and just be able to make the thing they want to make, and it take as long as they want to make it or as quick as they want to make it, whatever it is. Regardless, with all that said, let's take a W in this cruel world. So Salma Hayek and Mexican president back a new 30% film tax incentive. Mexico has unveiled a series of incentives to support local cinema and attract international productions, just as Trump's government is threatening tariffs. It's a whole other part of the conversation, too. Oscar-nominated Mexican star Salma Hayek Pinalt, who's in Frida, Tale of Tales, From Dusk Till Dawn. I think that's what I've seen her in. I will say, respectfully, she's very beautiful. One of the most beautiful women on this planet. I will say it. And she's a great person, especially for something like this. She joined Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo. She's pretty left-leaning. That's why there's been some division as well with Mexico and the U.S. In the past year or so. This week to announce a new tax incentive aimed at boosting the local film industry and drawing big production south of the border. The incentives include a new 30% tax incentive for projects shot in Mexico, making the country more attractive for runaway productions, just as Trump's government is intensifying pressures on U.S. companies to shoot more films at home. Which is always funny to me because a lot of movies are still shot in the United States, in L.A., or in Austin, I know, has a kind of a film reputation. I know here in Denver there's been, I know some folks who are trying to do movie stuff. So and bullshit. Like, but whatever. But yeah, Trump's always trying to do make America great again, and like trying to, with the tariffs and everything, making things a lot more expensive, for imports and whatnot. But, a lot of people are going to Canada to shoot movies, for example. I know, like, Vancouver has a big movie production scene. I think Sonic the Hedgehog was filmed. I think both the first two movies were filmed there. But I digress. So Hayek attended a presidential briefing where Mexican authorities outlined the incentive, which will apply for live-action or animated feature films. And in case you're confused about live-action, in the flesh movies, like I said earlier, and TV series episodes that spend a minimum of 40 million pesos, 2.3 million in country, documentary feature film series with the minimum expenditure of 20 million pesos, $1.2 million USD, and animation visual effects and post-production processes with a minimum expenditure of 290,000. These are all pretty low these days. Like, even a small budget movie, I think, ones that you'd still see maybe in a theater for like a very limited release, is around this. I think, what was it, Iron Lung was made for like, what, $8 million? Maybe less, if I'm not mistaken, just for example. So I don't think any of these like requirements wouldn't be too hard to hit. Even like the animated one, 290,000, I think is pretty cheap. Incentives will be for Mexican individuals and legal entities, for foreign individuals and entities with a permanent establishment in the country, and foreign individuals and entities who carry out production through a Mexican resident individual or legal entity. Hey, maybe they can make that Dead Trigger. They can make a sequel to Dead Trigger with these incentives. We gotta bring that back. President Pardo said the goal of program was to meet the level of our people and to match the extraordinary creativity that exists in our country, noting that Mexicans were resilient people who have always fought for their independence, for their sovereignty, and for the defense of cultural rights. Hayek Pinalt noted that the incentive of supporting Mexican cinema would foster national pride through authentic and meaningful storytelling. With this support, we have no comparison. There is no country in the world with such ecological diversity and beauty. Here we have it all. No other country has what we have, she said. The move in Mexico's broader push to grow production infrastructure comes as the Trump government continues to threaten to levy tariffs of up to 100% on films produced outside the United States. Trump has repeatedly proposed such tariffs, arguing that foreign subsidies and tax incentives are hurting Hollywood. But going back to my art thing, like, just in general, it's okay to make art outside the United States. We aren't the number one in art, right? You know what I mean? I don't think we've been number one in art. I mean, we have a lot of great movies. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of movies people don't see because we don't have access to it, or we tell ourselves that only we know how to make movies. Bullshit, but whatever. He has yet to clarify how such system could work, given that films are non-material goods, but the threats have been unsettling effects on both Hollywood and global production hubs. Many have suggested the U.S. instead implement its own federal tax incentives to bring production back home. This sounds pretty cool, though. Hopefully, more movies shoot in Mexico. Screw them. Let's make Mexico the new. Let's make Mexico the new Hollywood, okay? But another cool thing I wanted to bring up with all this isn't fully directed to just film. It goes back to my art comments here. If you thought this was cool, wait till you hear this. And I'm not even necessarily always a fan of basic income here, but this is from Ireland. They've been doing this pilot program since I think 2022, and they're extending it through the rest of through February 2026. But I've seen people talk about that they're trying to push to have this implemented again, which is this basic income for the arts. So the new basic income for the arts pilot scheme aims to support the arts and creative practice by giving a payment of €325 a week to artists and creative art workers. The main objective of the scheme is to address the financial instability faced by many working in the arts. Facts. Like, that's another part of the problem. As movie budgets need to get bigger and bigger, at least for what these production companies want, you're creating bigger and bigger of a gap of people who have access to actually contribute. Also, then you just add in the general, obviously there's more, I think, more of an America problem, but, you know, it's expensive a lot of places. I don't know what Ireland's situation fully is, but, you know, in America, especially if you're going to be in LA or whatnot, your cost of living is through the roof. Right? You can't just be like, I'm going to be an artist full time, I feel like, anymore in this day and age, especially when you have things like AI and whatnot that people are like, oh, I'll just make my movie for me, right? They won't do that. But I mean, in America, it is very tough to be an artist, or if you are an artist, you're probably not doing it full time. And if you are doing it full time, you're probably not making much money, and you're barely making it by. I know artists here in Denver, you know, whether it's tattoo artists or just general artists, and a lot of them, don't have it easy at all. You know, luckily, you know, they have the passion to keep doing it, and they keep sticking with it. And I try to support where I can, you know, by, you know, purchasing art or whatever it is. But, you know, it is really hard out there. So, like, and like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of basic income for everybody, because I just think companies would just, in theory, just wind up raising things anyways, just to compensate. You'd have to, I think, have more than just basic income for it to work. You know, so I have my critiques of it. But when it's something more specific, like this is specifically for creative purposes, you know, because art is part of is culture. Art is culture, you know, and, you know, people want to make America great again. Is our culture just AI slop, or is it actual artists? And if it's too hard to make art, people don't make art, right? If it's getting harder and harder for people to look at art as a serious career or whatever, or wanting to contribute, like it makes it just when everything's expensive and everything, it makes it harder to contribute, and you miss out on the art, and your art gets turned into AI slop, for example, or fucking the Manosphere fucking YouTubers or something. You know, you get told what is art versus letting your community make art. But anyways, but yeah, 325 euros, which isn't like that much, but shit, man, that would be nice, right? If you're, let's say, a artist living in New York City or something, and let's say you work part-time at a regular job, and then you're doing part-time of your art, but you're like, I can never get to that full-time because I don't know if I'll be able to make that jump. Maybe this basic income can help, you know? Maybe it can cover a chunk of, you know, grocery bills or whatever it is. Maybe it can help cover for supplies. So the pilot scheme closed for applications May 12th, 2022. 2,000 eligible artists and creative artworks were selected at random and invited to take part in the pilot program. The anonymized and randomized selection of participants, blah, blah, blah. The pilot ran over for 3 years, from 2022 to 2025, but on June 19th, 2025, the scheme was extended for 6 months for February 2026. It was announced in the budget for 2026 that the pilot basic income for art scheme will be developed into a successor scheme in 2026. The application criteria will be announced. The applications will be open in 2026. So it sounds like it's still happening, or at least they're looking to make it more permanent. Unfortunately, this is means tested, and this is like the Democrats' favorite thing, is like, we can't just give money away unless you hit a certain criteria, which kind of sucks. But this is still like this. I just don't think this would, like, if this was like an actual proposal in America, I just don't think that would, like, I don't know. We can't even handle in America the, like, hey, what if we made college free? Or hey, what if we, like, got rid of student loans? Like, people are so, like, centered on, well, I worked hard, you know, I don't want to pay for someone else's thing. So and people don't give a shit about art, I feel like, as much anymore in America, because, like I said, it's being manufactured for them and told this is what is good, you know, when it comes to AI, or like I said, if you have more consolidation or the government getting involved and saying, no, these are the only things you can watch, you know, you start to lose control of what what is possible in the creative space. But yeah, I don't know, cool shit. But like I said, I don't know if any of the, like something like this can happen here, but I am cheering for Mexico for sure, and this sounds interesting. I'll pay attention to this more. Alright folks, we've hit our 1 hour and a half mark. I hope this all was entertaining or somewhat informative, or maybe made you think about something. Let me know if you're watching the VOD in the comments what you think. Do you think consolidation is good? Do you think that we should implement something like this maybe here in the US? You know, basically my long-winded thing for all this is what I'm trying to say is, like, consolidation's bad. If we're still doing capitalism, there needs to be way more, I think way more real freedom. That means economic freedom to create. More and more people are getting less interested in the arts, or they're just getting fed slop because then that's what they think is it out there. If you want to actually support art and support culture, support cinema, you need to make it actually freeing instead of, hey, no, you got to go through these production companies, these 2 production companies. It seems like, I don't know, man. It's scary times in a lot of ways, and I know this is probably like not the #1 thing for a lot of people. It's not #1 for me necessarily, but I don't want to even necessarily rank it. I don't think that's fair. It's okay to be feeling upset about multiple things. Made you hate movies, Ethan? Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Just like from the video game stuff news today, and then this, it's just like no industry is safe, and it's a constant battle. And at the end of the day, though, like if you're an artist, I think you just got to fight all these systemic things as best you can and contribute in any way you can, even if it's just making stickers, or you know, you're just doing a little art gazebo or something with you and your friends, whatever it is, you know, like, I don't know. And I see myself as a creative person. I mean, I try to be as creative as I can outside of this stuff. I'm trying to find my bearings as well. You know, like I said, the will is there, but it is really tough when it feels like society doesn't give a fuck. Or is like basically, you know, just trying to make us spend more time at work and take our creative energy in for their own pockets or whatever it is. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this stuff. Hopefully it, you know, like I said, was interesting or whatnot. But yeah, also let me know what you've been watching. Put that down in the comments as well. But yeah, this has been Devon's Movie Dungeon. If you may, please give the video a like if you are interested in seeing more. We have video game movie reviews on this channel. We also do streams that are mostly gaming, but we also do, like, I did a trivia game with Ethan and David on this channel for Valentine's Day, so it isn't always gaming related. We have this stream here, so if you want to know when the next one of this is, I try to do this every other week. You should hit the subscribe button if you're interested in any of those things. I hate even asking for that, but this is the world we live in. Once again, it's like if you want to get out there and engage with other folks, you have to do these weird things to help the algorithm that is very ethereal and ever-changing, and you know, you have to adapt, or if you don't adapt, great, it's good, but at the same time, you just get fucking pushed to the outskirts, you know. But yeah, if you just hit like and subscribe and comment, whatever you want to do, one of those things always helps, or sending it to somebody helps, I think, as well. Yeah, just let me know what you've been watching, what you think about this conversation. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you all for watching Devon's Movie Dungeon. We'll see you next time. I think it'll be Gosh, it'll be March already, huh? It'll be March and I'll be 31. Getting old. Older by the minute. But yeah, and then I think we'll be close to, because I think Golden Globes, I think it's the 14th or the 15th. I have to double check. But yeah, that's been Devon's Movie Dungeon. I'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there. Have fun. And have fun at the cinemas, I should say. And yeah, go watch a movie with a friend or something. I don't know. We'll catch you next time. Bye.